Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja-Bihari the Shishimana's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON BBD Founder, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 30, Text 33. Kevalena, he, adharmeṇa, kuṭumba-bharaṇa, utsukaḥ, yāti, jīvaḥ, andha-tāmisraṁ, caramam, tamasaḥ, padam, Kevalena hi adharmeṇa, Kevalena hi adharmeṇa, kuṭumba-bharaṇotsukaḥ, kuṭumba-bharaṇotsukaḥ, yāti jīvo ndha-tāmisraṁ, yāti jīvo ndha-tāmisraṁ, caramam tamasaḥ padam, caramam tamasaḥ padam, Kevalena hi adharmeṇa, kuṭumba-bharaṇotsukaḥ, yāti jīvo ndha-tāmisraṁ, caramam tamasaḥ padam. Vaishnavis. Kevalena, simply, he, certainly, adharmeṇa, by religious activities, kuṭumba, family, bharaṇa, to maintain, utsukaḥ, eager, yāti, goes, jīvaḥ, a person, andha-tāmisraṁ, to andha-tāmisra, caramam, ultimate. Tamasaḥ, of darkness. Padam, region. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andha-tāmisra. Purport. 3 words in this verse are very significant. Kevalena means only by black methods. Adharmeṇa means unrighteous or irreligious. And kuṭumba-bharaṇa means family maintenance. Maintaining one's family is certainly the duty of a householder, but one should be eager to earn his livelihood by the prescribed method, as stated in the scriptures. In Bhagavad-gītā, it is described that the Lord has divided the social system into 4 classifications of castes or varṇas, according to quality and work. Apart from Bhagavad-gītā, in every society a man is known according to his quality and work. For example, when a man is constructing wooden furniture, he is called the carpenter. And a man who works with an anvil and iron is called the blacksmith. Similarly, a man who is engaged in medical or engineering fields has a particular duty and designation. All these human activities have been divided by the Supreme Lord into 4 varnas, namely Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaiśya, and Śūdra. In Bhagavad-gītā and in other Vedic literatures, the specific duties of the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaiśya, and Śūdra are mentioned. One should work honestly according to his qualification. He should not earn his livelihood unfairly by means for which he is not qualified. If a Brahmin who works as a priest so that he may enlighten his followers to the spiritual way of life is not qualified as a priest, then he is cheating the public. One should not earn by such unfair means. The same is applicable to a Kshatriya or to a Vaiśya. It is especially mentioned that the means of livelihood of those who are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness must be very fair and uncomplicated. Here it is mentioned that he who earns his livelihood by unfair means, Kevalena, is sent to the darkest hellish region. Otherwise, if one maintains his family by prescribed methods and honest means, there is no objection to one's being a family man. Om Ganatamirandasha Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshut Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So it's mentioned here in the translation that a person who maintains his family by black methods, he goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andha-tāmisra. And that's described, these different regions of hell are described in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's stated that some authorities say that there are 21 different hells, and some authorities say that there's 28. Anyway, they're all really bad. And they're described there in the 5th canto. Particularly, today we're hearing that this person who maintains his family by black methods will go to the darkest region of hell, which is called Andha-tāmisra. And the 5th canto has this to say about Andha-tāmisra. It says it's a place, the condition of the person who goes to Andha-tāmisra is exactly like that of a tree being chopped at its roots. So the roots are the sustenance of the existence of the tree. So I mean, it's a metaphor, but it's pretty serious. Even before reaching Andha-tāmisra, the sinful living being is subjected to various extreme miseries. These afflictions are so severe that he loses his intelligence and sight. It is for this reason that learned sages call this hell andha-tāmisra. So it's a pretty severe situation. One thing I wanted to mention about these hellish planets, somebody might be under the impression, well, you commit sinful activity and you go to these hellish planets, and it's mentioned that your sins are purged, as a result of going to hell, and then you think, well, that's it, it's over. No. What happens is, the way it works, it's described in some of these verses coming up, is that after you finish the hellish punishments, in the different hellish planets, then your you go into the lower species of life, and you work your way up through different species of life, and then when you come back, finally, after you're really purged of all your reactions to your sinful activities, you're placed again in the human form of life, and it describes, as I said in purports coming up, that in the exact same type of body from which you degraded yourself. See? So it's like it's a big waste of time, and you suffered a lot. It's like if you get expelled out of school because you're misbehaving, and then they say you're expelled for 6 months or a year or something like that. When you come back, you just start, and you don't get promoted. It's not like you go to the next grade with all the other kids your age. No, you're back where you started from, and you're in that same thing again. Same 4th grade or 5th grade class, and you got to get it right. So it's like that. You see, it's not like you're off the hook. You suffered in hell. Okay, now things are going to be hunky dory. No, you got to go back there and get it right eventually. So we might as well try to get it right this time around. Another point I wanted to make is that these hellish planets, it sounds like pretty fantastic when you hear these descriptions. They are not experienced with the gross senses. In other words, if you say you were to get a really good rocket ship, okay, first class one, with a lot of fuel in it, and you were able to kind of like zip around the universe in your rocket ship, you won't come across any of these hellish planets. See, because they're actually in a subtle realm. Okay? Subtle doesn't mean unreal. Just like I'll give an example. There's people who have these near-death out-of-body experiences. Okay, so they describe that. Oh, I entered into this, realm where there was, I saw deceased relatives and somebody who seemed like God, or they have an experience of unconditional love and universal knowledge, and somebody might say, well, it's just a lot of, it's like a dream, But the thing is this, that these people are experiencing this while they're clinically dead. They have no heartbeat, they're not breathing, they have no heartbeat, they have no brain waves. So you could say still, it's just some sort of mental experience. Okay, but they're able to describe stuff that's going on at a time when they were dead. There's it's empiric evidence to support the idea that there is reality, or realms beyond our gross experience, and that's an example of that. These people are clinically dead, and there's hundreds and thousands of cases like this, clinically dead, and yet they can describe stuff that was going on at a time when they shouldn't have been experiencing anything. See? So that's there. So all the stuff in the Vedic literature, the bad stuff that we're hearing about, the hellish planets and the heavenly planets and beyond, it's all true, but in order to experience it, we have to, you can say, well, in order to experience it, we have to go beyond our material senses. In order to experience what's being described, the way the universe is described in the Bhagavatam, you definitely have to go beyond your gross senses. And in order to experience what's going on in, Vaikuntha planets and Goloka Vrindavan, you have to go beyond both your gross and your subtle material senses. See? Tak Shri Krishna Namari Nabhaved Gurayam Indire Sevan Mukhe Jivaro Swayam Eva Spiratira. That Krishna can't be understood, meaning Krishna, meaning his personality, himself, and his philosophy. It's not understood with the blunt material senses. See? It's understood when the senses become purified. Sevan Mukhe Jivaro Swayam Eva Spiratira. That Krishna reveals when somebody engages in devotional service and their consciousness becomes purified, then the veracity, the reality of these things is revealed to them. So we have to come out of our comfort zone. Papa says in 2nd canto of the Bhagavatam that an easygoing life and devotional service go ill together. Okay? So in other words, if we don't come out of as devotees, if we stay in our comfort zone and engage in devotional service, then the result will be comfortable. But we won't be able to access these things. When you have to come into the stretch zone, come out of the comfort zone and make that little extra effort, and then Krishna reciprocates with that. I had an interesting experience back about, I guess it's a month ago now. right around like March 30th, the last Sunday in March, I got up early, and I had a lot of rounds chanted earlier in the day. And then after the Sunday feast, I was thinking, well, I'll go for a walk maybe. And I said, no, I'll just chant more. So I kept chanting. And I chanted another 32 rounds. I chanted 64 rounds that day. And I said, oh, that wasn't so difficult. I thought like, wow. Anyway, for the next 2 weeks, every day I chanted 64 rounds or more. And I'd get a bunch of rounds chanted when I got up early before Mangalarti, and then I would chant on the way out to Sankirtan, on the way back from Sankirtan. Sometimes I'd have to chant even after I got back from Sankirtan for an hour or so, but I got it done. And there was a couple of days when I chanted even more than that, and I did experience a higher taste. It wasn't so much when I was chanting, but at the temple, during the kirtans, I was experiencing like, wow, the chanting is different. I'm experiencing pleasure chanting. I don't know why, particularly when I was part of the audience and I was chanting Jai Radha Madhava in response to the speaker, Tulsi Kirtan, and just the kirtans in general. So, gave me the realization that, well, yeah, this process works, but you have to work it. I had to come out of my comfort zone into the stretch zone, because it was an effort. It wasn't like it was effortless to chant those rounds. It wasn't that difficult, but it wasn't effortless. So I made the effort, and the experience was there. So we got to do that, and it makes sense that it should be like that, and it makes sense that we should, as devotees, we should experience something higher. I mean, Prabhupada came to America. He was already old. He traveled. He preached, he wrote all the books. I mean, he did like tremendous sacrifice, risk, austerity. And you mean to tell me that's as a result of that, nobody should become an advanced devotee? No, it wouldn't make any sense that Prabhupada did all what he did and nobody becomes an advanced devotee. The result of all Prabhupada's efforts was just that, a bunch of mixed devotees and kanistadhikaris. Doesn't make any sense. But more important than it doesn't make any sense, it's not what Prabhupada preached to us. It's not what he told us. I want to read you something. This is an excerpt from a lecture Prabhupada gave. Read just the nitty-gritty, the essence of the whole thing. Okay. Here it goes. Prabhupada says, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pleased, then he can give Krishna prema, love of Krishna, to anyone. Doesn't matter what is his qualification. He gives. If a person is giving in charity, he can select any man. You take. That is the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he goes on. And then towards the end of the lecture, he says, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this concession to the fallen souls of this age, that you simply chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you'll be delivered. And then he quotes that verse from the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special concession. So, yeah, the idea is that somebody's supposed to get the mercy. We hear about it. It's in the books. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You hear about it, in Prabhupada's lectures. So it's not just that. It's verbiage. It's not words. Devotees, the people who are, like ourselves, who are participating fully in the Krishna consciousness movement. It seems to me that we should be the candidates, to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, to get the mercy of the spiritual master. People who are attempting to dedicate their whole life to practicing Krishna consciousness and spreading it. You see? So there's one purport in the Adi Lila chapter 8 where Prabhupada says, Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous incarnation and his mercy is very easily achieved. And I know when I'm on Sankirtan, if I feel like getting discouraged, I just try to remember that and just that one sentence. It's a sentence, I guess. It's full. Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous incarnation. Magnanimous means he's most forgiving, and his mercy is very easily achieved. In other words, it's not about my effort. I mean, yeah, our effort has to be there, but beyond our effort, the ultimate determining factor is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the mercy of the predecessor acharyas, and that's there. You see, we have to remind ourselves of that. That's what it means to be. We're not the doer. We have to make an effort, but ultimately it's up to the mercy. It's up to the mercy of the predecessor acharyas and Lord Chaitanya whether we'll be successful in any attempt. So if we could just remember that, that keeps me from getting discouraged, because sometimes you're trying. I'm sure it's like this in any service, but you're trying, it's not happening. It's not working out. But I just remind myself that no, wait a second. It's not about so what. Doesn't matter. Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous incarnation. His mercy is very easily achieved. Let me just keep trying. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, everything can change. And I've experienced that repeatedly, to be honest with you. Sankirtan's my service, but I'm sure that, I hope that other devotees have experienced in this service, and specifically what I'm talking about is that I could be feeling totally out of it, and also I could be experiencing, on the result part of it, forget it, it's just not happening. Both things. I'm feeling out of it, the results are out of it, but I just decide, okay, I'm not going to give up. I just try to remember that, something like that, or pray for the mercy of the six Goswamis, or pray to Prabhupada, and just keep trying. And I've experienced, as I said, multiple times, as I'm sure all the Sankirtan devotees, and hopefully all the devotees in different services experience, everything can change in a moment. I've experienced that. You could be feeling totally mundane, and no good results are happening, but you just kind of decide, okay, I'm going to keep trying, and you pray a little bit, and then somebody comes along and goes, oh, wow, this is exactly what I've been looking for, and thank you so much for being out here, and it's blah, 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 and they take books and they give a nice donation, and on top of that, it's not just your mood changes, but your whole consciousness changes. It's more than just, oh, I'm happy I got a sale, or I'm happy something. You actually you feel like the spiritual energy. Krishna's in control of that. And I've had that experience where once, this was years ago, 25 years ago, I was in American Terminal, LAX, and it was which had a reputation of being a tough terminal. A lot of businessmen go through there. And I was really trying, but no. And anyway, I just decided, I didn't give up, and at some point, Krishna just decided, okay, good, you passed the test. And I started, chanting, and I felt the taste for the chanting, and then people started coming and taking books and giving nice donations. But it was like a night and day difference. It was just like a night. So, it's really gave me that realization that Krishna is the doer. Our service is just like an opportunity to demonstrate to Krishna our sincerity. And when Krishna is satisfied with, to see that this person is really trying to sincerely surrender, then he reciprocates, and just things happen. It just defies the laws of material nature. Because, things like that don't happen in the material world. It just goes from totally disaster to totally, off the charts successful. It just doesn't happen like that. But in Krishna consciousness, yeah. Why? Because Krishna is the doer. Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna can just. That's why we should never give up in devotional service. Never throw in the towel. Because as long as we keep trying and keep, we're following the rules and regulations, and we keep trying and we pray like that, there's a big chance that Krishna it's a test. You see, we're being tested. And when Krishna sees that, okay, you passed the test, and sometimes the test can be difficult, but you pass that test, and everything can change, dramatically, drastically, at a moment. That's my experience with devotional service. So I'll stop there. Does anybody have any question? Comment?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, the Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, how do you say, it's like mystical, and a lot of magical thing happens. You already mentioned about book distribution, but I want to mention some other parts.
Yeah.
A few times when we used to go on Harinam, sometimes, and a few devotees, maybe like 5, 6, 7, and they don't even know how to play kartos, even mirdanga, so it's like, what is the use? You know, in my mind I'm thinking, what is this? We're supposed to be like, you know, the what enlivened, and people can look at us and maybe they will be attracted to us. So, you know, we're just doing it, you know, as a duty. And I'm thinking, Lord Chaitanya, why is this happening like this? And then suddenly, a little kid came, a little boy who was maybe like about 7 years old.
Yeah.
He started dancing in front of us like a madman, really dancing. And then suddenly, hundreds of people came. And I thought, oh my God, you know. And then a lot of people came, and the devotees got enthusiastic, you know, to keep going with us. So that was one time. And another time, the same thing. We're in Hollywood, and things are not really happening. You know, devotees are not really so much enthusiastic for whatever reason. Maybe sometimes, a lot of times, it's just new devotees. And it's not happening. And you get like a little bit like questioning, why is chanting of the holy name supposed to be the most attractive thing? And we are the ones who are supposed to emanate that so that people can be attracted.
Yeah.
And suddenly, somehow or other, a man came, he said, you don't mind, I would like to, you know, I'm making a movie, and there's a few of us here, can we chant and dance with you? Oh, sure, come in. So then, there's a beautiful girl, you know, there, came, and she started dancing. And a lot of people started like, what's going on there? You know, so little tricks and things like that happens, that Lord Chaitanya gives you signs. It can happen any moment.
Yeah,
like
and what I said, it holds true for all aspects of devotional service. I just mentioned, that's my service, but it holds true for deity worship.
Yeah, I was going to go in that direction, but yeah, keep going in that. That's it. It happens in every service. In the management too, you know, like sometimes the managers, they don't know how this is going to come out. You know, so many difficulties there, and suddenly something comes like, wow, I was not expecting for this. But you go through the struggle, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, Krishna's testing, and when we pass the test, he, you know, gives us the mercy. Prema Sankirtan.
Hare Krishna. Bhrgupati Prabhu, nice class, thank you. My question is, more devotee, more advancing, you know, try to be more advanced. I try to understand about test of Krishna. Is it more, how you can say, difficult? There's different kind of test, you know, not so difficult, very, very severe test. So more advancing is test from Krishna. Is there more like difficult? Krishna give you more difficult text, or is more easy?
Well, I'm trying to think of something I heard Prabhupada say. I don't know about, I can't remember if I heard him say something that the tests get more difficult, but you keep getting tested until you become a pure devotee. And then I remember hearing this, that when you become a pure devotee, Maya pays her obeisances, and she just leaves you alone. So until you become a pure devotee, there'll be tests. And then when you pass all the tests, then no more, Maya doesn't bother you anymore. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.